I usually like to stick to more modern movies, but I figured that I'll do something special this Halloween. So I'm going way back to 1951's The Thing from Another World. You'll have to excuse some dated sensibilities and production values of the time period, most obvious of all being that it's in black and white, but if you can get in the right mood, then I think this movie does a surprisingly good job at being entertaining, even today, over 70 years later. The film starts off at an American military base in Anchorage, Alaska, when our main character, Captain Pat Hendry, is ordered to investigate an aircraft crash near another base at the North Pole. After determining that the ship is an unknown spacecraft, the crew excavates the frozen body of an alien nearby and takes it back to base. Eventually, the alien ends up getting thawed out of the ice, and the rest of the film is kind of like an old school monster movie. The presentation of the movie is nice. They really go out of their way to constantly remind you that the setting is extremely cold.
Close the door.
Yes, sir.
But it's done so in a very show don't tell kind of way. Whenever a door or window is opened, it's almost always followed by a rush of wind and everyone acting like it just got chilly. The set design is quite convincing. The film takes you through quite a few rooms at the North Pole base, and I can see it being a reasonably realistic depiction of such. The outside scenes are great too. Like, yeah, you can tell this is a painted backdrop, but it gets the job done and overall it looks good. There are some neat pyrotechnics and other effects used sparingly, but my favorite is the movie's use of dark lighting. It's not done often, but it's very effective when it is. There's not too much in the way of interesting camera angles or techniques. In that sense, the film is shot very flat and straightforward, which is a little bit of a shame, but it's still fine for what it is. The dialogue of the movie can be a little difficult to follow. It's common for the actors to cut each other off or speak over one another, and everyone talks very fast.
Eric Queens?
I thought so, Aces.
You ought to know better than to try fooling our captain. Only dames can do that.
Lieutenant Dykes, I promise
Slip
you...
of the tongue, Captain. What do you hear from the General, Scotty?
Oh, your General Fogarty's nursing his secrets like a June bride.
You know, I got an idea. There's a guy in Seattle knows a whole radar defense story. Loves to talk. General McLaren. Now, you tell General Fogarty you want to go to Seattle, and Pat and I'll fly you there.
I met General McLaren, too.
It's warm in Seattle.
They got girls there.
Without fur pants on.
What about it, Captain?
That could be right.
You'll never be able to shoo our captain southward with his heart wrapped around the North Pole.
That'll do, Mr. McPherson.
What's going on at the North Pole?
Some scientists are holding a convention up there.
Looking for polar bear tails.
Ever hear of Dr. Carrington?
The fellow who was at Bikini?
The same. Well, they're holding about 2,000 miles north of here, a whole bunch. Botanists, physicists,
Including a
electronic...
pinup girl. Very interesting type, too.
Very. Captain Henry can give you any data you want on her.
Ken, you probably shouldn't have said that. You know how the
Well,
captain
after I
feels.
read
Now,
that.
look.
I don't know if this has more to do with filmmaking practices at the time or if it's a quirk of this movie in particular. It's not bad for doing this, you still get the general idea across, but you might have to put in a little extra effort into keeping up with the plot. However, that being said, it does help the story move along at a brisk pace. I was really surprised when I watched this movie for the first time because it held my interest the whole way through. Even if there's not too much action until the second half, and even then it's still sparse. The writing of the movie can be very odd at times. The stakes start to get pretty high after a while with the real possibility that everyone on the base might end up getting killed. There are a couple of scenes towards the end that are also genuinely tense. Yet, despite all this, you still have characters cracking jokes and in general, the film comes off as pretty lighthearted.
Get somebody to prop this door, quick! Something sure enough to get under this boat. Did you picture, Scotty?
No, you were in the way. And the door wasn't open long enough.
Want me to open it again?
No.
Bring a hammer and some spikes.
It's weird. It's like it's trying to come off like a horror movie at times, but it has a little too much fun, if that makes any sense. Again, maybe this is standard fare for the 1950s and I'm just unfamiliar with it, but it's just so weird to me. Even when some of the side characters are killed off, it's like no one is taking this too seriously. Something that I find particularly interesting is how this movie might have been a bit influential, or at least ahead of its time with some themes and ideas. I'm no expert in this stuff, so I might be way off, but the lead scientist talking about how he wants so badly to research the alien and how everyone's lives are secondary in the pursuit of science.
You're doing more than breaking army orders. You're robbing science of the greatest secret that's ever come to it.
Better go back, Doctor.
Knowledge is more important than life, Captain. We've only one excuse for existing: to think, to find out, to learn.
What can we learn from that thing, except a quicker way to die?
It doesn't matter what happens to us. Nothing counts except our thinking. We've thought our way into nature. We've split the atom.
Yes, and that sure made the world happy, didn't it?
We owe it to the brain of our species to stand here and die without destroying a source of wisdom.
Captain Henry.
As well as how Captain Hendry always needs to check in with his commanding officer on how to deal with the current situation.
Any destruction would be an outrage, a betrayal of science.
It'll be a betrayal of science, Doctor, but it'll make me and some of the others sleep a lot better if we get rid of it.
There'll be no
Captain,
juvenile heroes.
finally got a message through, and here's the answer.
Go ahead.
Fogarty to Henry. Carrington informs me Martian alive. You are directed to make effort to keep it alive and protect it against injury. Under no circumstances take action against it until my arrival when weather permits.
You have your orders, Captain Henry. I consider them sane and intelligent.
I was definitely reminded about some key characters and moments from 1979's Alien. This movie is also definitely worth watching if you're a fan of the far more famous John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. It's cool to catch all the references to the source inspiration, and there are a ton. Just don't expect the 1951 movie to be anywhere near as gory or exciting. So, would I recommend The Thing from Another World? It's hard to say. I like it myself, but I don't know how most people will take it, especially these days. The dialogue can be corny and the atmosphere can be out of whack. Again, it's so weird to have characters be as lighthearted as they are when there's a monster literally murdering their friends. The inclusion of a love interest doesn't add much to the movie either. I like these two characters, but they don't serve a purpose. You could get rid of her and it wouldn't change a thing. But, all things considered, it is an interesting and fun movie. It has its moments, and even though there's some overacting at times, it's still plenty enjoyable. I wouldn't say that this is anything you have to rush out and see, and it's hardly one of my favorite movies, but if you know what you're getting into, then I think it's a good time. Thanks for watching my review on The Thing from Another World.